Hello, my name's Ruth Mayer. I'm partner with Boyce Turner. I head up our call to protection team. With me is Danny Curran, founder and director of Finders International. Hi Danny, how are you doing?
Fine, Ruth, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. So tell me a little bit about you and about the company.
My story goes back some 30 years in probate research. I started working at another company in 1990 for 7 years, and then having a lot of case manager experience and a lot of a good lawyer network in the UK. In 97, I formed Finders just basically as a one-man band and took it from there.
It's quite a niche sort of work to do. How did you actually get into it to start with?
It's a very niche industry. I knew someone in the industry, so I was kind of had a connection there, and then I went into that for 7 years because I left school at 16. I didn't have a degree. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. This was an opportunity to do something a bit different. It was virtually unheard of in 1990. The reputation of the industry is something that I've, in more recent years, been able to focus on because, to be honest, we've never had a good reputation with solicitors. They didn't really understand our role in the probate world. And hopefully we've made strides over the last 20, 30 years to be people they can work with constructively, that we're helpful, we're useful. And my dream is that one day we get to the stage where they're a sanctioned and authorised part of the legal world.
In terms of Finders, I know you're also known for your role in Air Hunters on BBC.
After 57 years of heartbreaking separation, these siblings are about to meet for the first time.
That's disgrace. It really is.
We use this as a route to hopefully get to some of the beneficiaries.
I should have been able to get to know my mother.
We've had some lovely stories.
It's been so interesting. I'm sure you could write a book about the cases that you've come across.
Oh, it's every day. We've just, there's new cases every week, every day that are just amazing stories. And my main satisfaction still to this day comes from, 30 years later, it comes from these great stories. A lady contacted us probably about 10 years ago now, and she said that my dad has got a brother, but he's never met him because when they were born, their mother was deemed a sinner, unmarried mother,
okay,
and sent to work in the laundries, and the children were taken off her. And her father, they lived in the north of England. She lived in the north of England. He was in Ireland. Had never met. He knew he had a brother, but had never found him and never met him. Mm-hmm. So to cut a long story short, we found him. They met. It was all filmed for TV, and it was it was a beautiful story. The O'Donnell family, and then they had 5 years together, and Jimmy, the long lost brother, sadly died of COVID earlier this year.
Oh dear.
But they had 5 years together. What a great family, a lovely family, really beautiful family. And it was a joy. There was no money involved in that. It was a pure pro bono goodwill. On the back of that, I've done quite a few appearances on TV this morning on ITV. BBC shows, and raising the awareness with the general public means that instead of people tearing up our letter and throwing it in the bin, they think, oh, right, this might be that lot I saw on telly. The next challenge is really about the standards of the industry. So this is why a few years ago I with some international firms, formed the International Association of Professional Probate Researchers, which is a self-regulatory body, the first one of its kind, the first one in the industry. Something that we could all subscribe to and say, hey, here's our standards, here's our regulations. Mm-hmm. We have a complaints procedure, we have an independent chairman, the whole setup is independent and transparent. At least it gives some reassurance to the legal profession and to beneficiaries.
Could you just explain what Bonacantia is for listeners?
Sure. So the Bonacantia is the ownerless goods, is the literal translation. This is a department that's existed in government under the Treasury Solicitors Department, for I think about 150 years. So the default position was that if anyone dies without a will, without any known relatives or any surviving relatives proven to be any surviving relatives, the money would go to the Queen, the Crown, unless, and this is interesting, unless you die in Lancashire or Cornwall, where it goes to Prince Charles.
That's amazing.
Duchy of Lancaster and the Duchy of Cornwall, respectively. And in Scotland, it goes to the beautifully entitled Queen's and Lord Treasurer's Remembrances Office.
How amazing.
But you and I, Ruth, would love our intestacy law to be changed to match the Scottish intestacy law. Because obviously, as you know, in England, we can only go as far as uncles and aunts of the half-blood or their surviving descendants to find a next of kin on intestacy, after which it goes to the Crown. In Scotland, you can keep going forever. It never goes to the Crown.
That keep you busy.
Well, you'd have to have a much bigger size estate to warrant the financial risk, and you'd maybe have to take out insurance to cover against claims on every single case. But it does mean there's the possibility there. It's almost, there'd probably hardly ever be a case that would go to the Crown.
So, on average, how long does it take you to sort of solve a case? Months, years?
Cases can be anything from a few days to 5 years. I mean, it really is, it's crazy. There's complicated international multi-jurisdictional cases. So through the IPPR, we have contacts all over the world. And aside from the IPPR, we've got exclusive agents in many, many countries. So we're very lucky in the UK that although we complain about our probate system, it's actually very efficient compared to other countries. Your average US or Greek or Italian estate or French estate, you're looking at 5 years. When it comes to cases, we did one that took 7 years that involved a woman, an elderly woman that we found in Germany. Her father had died in the UK. He was a former Polish evacuee, Jewish evacuee in the war, came to live in England and had to leave behind his family, who were then moved to Germany, survived the Holocaust. So that connection through wars, through generations, that's the bit I love, is those good stories. Yeah. It's not always about the money.
That must be lovely, actually, doing the job that you do and getting a result like that. It must give you a really nice feeling, a real sense of achievement that you've managed to do that and help somebody.
Yeah, and this is the point I try and get across to the legal profession as well. It's not all about the money. We do 500 pro bono cases a year. Now, tell me a lawyer who does that many. We know that we run risks with some of the fees are fixed fees, budgets, agreed fees, happy to work in those ways, but we do a lot of contingency work because there isn't anyone. You know, when a guy dies without a will, without any family, there's no grants. There's no one to take out any estates, to take out funds from the estate to pay us. So it's up to you. We take a risk. If it works out, we'll be rewarded. We might be handsomely rewarded. We might get nothing.
Yes.
So it's a big risk. And the reason that we are here today and I'm here today talking to you is because we've been successful at taking those risks.
Right. So, I mean, the company sounds like it's obviously been going for quite a while, grown over the years, which is fabulous. I mean, have you found that the lockdown, pandemic, you know, everything that's been going on since, you know, the start of the year, has that impacted business in any way?
At first, we were kind of like cautious about how things might go. Probably like many companies, I decided to sort of safeguard a few areas of work and make sure that we weren't going to suffer hopefully financially. But so a cautious start, probably like most, as I say, like most businesses, making sure you've got enough money and reserves. But I've always been fairly cautious in that way anyway. So we keep a good reserve. We make sure we've got enough working capital as well. And from very early on, I said, okay, nothing's going to happen. Let's just write off the next 6 months. Nothing's going to happen until September at least. And it's probably going to go on beyond that. But actually, a couple of months in, with people very rapidly moving to working from home, I realized that this was actually going really well for us. And we're one of the companies, maybe like a lot of lawyers as well, that have realized, and we did a survey actually, amongst the staff. They like working from home. They like being at home. They don't feel that there's anything they can't really do. There's a few things we need to work on. And from that moment on, we really invested heavily in IT and the IT infrastructure. We've spent a fortune on that side, because now we've just decided this is the permanent arrangement. This is what we're going to do. Reconfigured the whole office. We have 2 floors here in Vestry Street and another new premises in Nile Street in Shoreditch. We've reconfigured the whole thing. So there's a hot desking thing, remote working. People can book a desk, come in. Some people will work 5 days. Some people work 1 day a week. Others will work 1 day a month, and others we might not see till Christmas. So
it sounds like you adapted really well, and in a similar way to solicitors and anyone else who's working in offices, which is great. I mean, do you find that from a personal point of view, I know you've got children, you've got family, how have you actually coped personally with the lockdown provisions?
Well, I'm lucky enough to live about a 40-minute walk from the office. So actually, I've just been able to walk up and down the road numerous times and do pretty much what I want to do. It's been much harder for my wife and the kids being off school. Got 4 kids, two of school. Many people, I think you realise that a lot more normality is centred around that routine of kids going to school. Absolutely,
yes. It's getting back into sort of a routine more, I can imagine, in terms of, you know, getting kids off to school and that sort of thing, and the actual day, the structure of the day. And I can imagine you've also been having to do some homeschooling, or has your wife been doing most of that?
Some of that, yeah. We don't. The funny thing is, the schooling is a subject close to our hearts, because it's about 6-7 years ago, we have some Danish friends who wanted to start a new school. So my company basically provided the funds to start a new primary school. And we sponsor the school to this day. And my daughter, who's now 13, was there day one at the new school. And the Danish system is far less stressful than the English system. If anything, they've got a much better system. They send a lot of their kids go to the same school from 6 to 16. There's no changing schools. They have the same friends. So that kind of principle, Danish school in North London, which we started with friends, is flourishing. We have a steady flow of kids coming and going. And the ethos there is really just to let them enjoy their childhood, enjoy life and learn. The net effect is wonderful. You have these kids that are relaxed and enjoying life, and there's not the pressure that we have here, and it's very nice to see.
So Danny, I know you've won some awards this year. Tell me a little bit about what you've won.
Yeah, so we've won the first... 2 years ago, a PR company started the UK Probate Research Awards, because our profession isn't really recognised in any particular area. So this awards was started quite a big, lavish affair. There's categories for best probate lawyers in various regions around the UK. So if anyone wants to enter, it's the Probate Research Awards online. It was great to see that many people interested. As I say, we have a human interest story as well. So there's someone wins an award for the best human interest story, and a lovely lady won it in February, just before lockdown. And we won the best UK probate research firm in 2019 and in 2020, and hopefully 2021 we'll continue the winning streak. The pressure's on.
You've got the third time lucky. I'm sure you'll get it. It sounds really, really worthwhile work, really heartwarming. Danny, thank you so much for talking to me today. Absolutely interesting, fascinating work that you do. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure, Ruth. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.